Well, welcome everyone to Suki Cookie channel. My name is Suki Cookie, and today I will be talking about my theories of Team Fortress 2 being an alternative universe. Now, I love Team Fortress 2 due to its artistic style and its graphics based on the 1960s. However, I believe this is an alternative 1960s and not in our modern universe or modern day 1960s. So, as Sanchez would say, and away we go! Okay, so now I'll be starting off with going through the items with Scout and everything today which could be alternative universe related. Now, let's start with Scout. Sorry for it being quite slow. Now, I can see that Scout here has a wireless headset. This wireless headset was basically looks like the nowadays a modern version of wireless headsets that we use in video gaming as well as in communication with our friends and family. However, looking at this wireless headset, I know that this might be an alternative universe using a wireless headset to communicate with each member of the team, such as the Pyro or Heavy or any member that he could communicate with, or communicating with the main headquarters themselves in the red team. And this can also link to the blue team as well, which uses the same headset. Now looking at it, the wireless headset was used after the 1960s. As you can see, the Bluetooth headset was maybe created around about the 1980s or 1990s and came in theory to the modern day. Not to discourage anyone from the game or anyone themselves, before the 1960s they have actually used wireless headsets, but they were more for radio transitions. Also, that was in the 1960s. As I can see, people may say that he might be a time traveler, but in this alternative history, Scout is using a modern headset, modern technology, rather than video gaming, but for communication and wireless capabilities of communicating. And this is the wireless headset that he is using. And let me just spin him around. And you can see that it looks exactly like the wireless headsets that we use nowadays. Now, the next one I want to talk about is the famous engineer and his PDA. Now, to me, I believe it's his smartphone, this PDA, construction PDA, right here. Now, I actually customized my NG with everything that you can see listed here, but the wireless headset, not the wireless headset, the construction PDA right here is an alternative history item itself. Now, I can see that we all know that smartphones were used nowadays, and around about the 2000 and 2007 with the iPhone. The first things first, the capabilities of his PDA, which I can see here, is that it's got a kind of a button orientation, which most mobile phones and PDAs in the 1990s and 1980s were using for business purposes rather than construction. In this video game, we can see that he's using a PDA for construction and deconstruction, which we can't find the deconstruction one here. Looking at it, I find it quite very good that the PDA aspect is actually used to show that he is an engineer, and modern day engineers and modern day technologists use PDAs and also smartphones. So for his PDA, he can actually construct and actually, use kind of anything that comes to his disposal. So kind of like dispensers. Now dispensers are actually used, actually came back from far to the ancient Greeks period, where they used to dispense water with a coin. Till the modern day, and kind of like 1990s and 1980s, which they use now, Coca-Cola vending machines. So it's kind of a vending machine that is used for medical and MO usage in the video game. And using the PDA, kind of an alternative universe, and all of this is mostly alternative universe in my opinion. Using gun turrets. Now, gun turrets can't be like automatically click of the finger, like Thanos, click of the finger, everything is there kind of thing. But in this one, in the alternative universe, he's using a PDA to construct and to plan, which to me in the 1960s is kind of like a kind of a Star Trek-y kind of universe. So yeah, so I believe this is an alternative universe in my theory. So now getting on to the teleporters being also constructed through the PDA. I'm sorry if I don't have the picture of the teleporters right now, but I know that in teleporter device that may be a kind of a scientific theory or a scientific fictional aspect of the video game. Now, teleporters are not really used in our modern day era, as it uses quantum particles and quantum physics. So from this one, it will be called, nowadays on the theory, is quantum teleportations. So going back to teleporters itself, it could be used as a futuristic technology kind of aspect of the video game, but as I say, I believe it's an alternative universe. Now back to robotic. Now to talk about robotic limbs. Now you can see that the engineer has on his hand right here a robotic hand. Now robotic limbs are a kind of a modern day creation, in my opinion, but links to the science fiction, as you can see in Star Wars. Now Star Wars, the very first one, or roundabout in the era of the original series, we could see that Luke Skywalker had a robotic hand after having his hand chopped off by none other than Darth Vader. So we see that robotic limb here, or the robotic arm that the engineer has here, which is called the gunslinger. Now the gunslinger is actually used for sentry speed and everything like that, and construction and development. Using robotic limbs, these were created around about the 2000s. So the 1960s were more of a thinking bay, where it goes, oh yeah, we may have this, but we don't have the technology. Modern day, we do have the technology, and it is used, and we do use it every day, kind of thing. If you are lack of limb or lack of anything that needs to be replaced. So yeah, robotic limbs in the 1960s in this video game is an alternative universe. That's what I'm going to give it, a number 4 on the alternative universe. Now going to my fifth theory, I'm now going to go to, say for example, Soldier, and you can see these a lot, and I believe these are the laser weaponry. So laser weaponry, it will take a while. As you can see, my soldier is customized. So I'll show you one example of laser weaponry, and this one here, the Righteous Bison. Now the Righteous Bison is one example I've used, using to zap and kill enemies. To me, it feels like laser technology. I'll call it as laser technology, or somehow go pew and the guy disappears, kind of thing. So I've seen that with various occasions with Star Trek, with their phasers, and also Doctor Who with the Dalek gun, and the X-ray gun where it disappeared. But that was not more disappearing. It's more with Star Trek, and Star Trek phasers using more of this technology. So that was more 1960s to the modern era. Now the modern era, we do not use laser weaponry as described here. More of the laser weaponry is more laser targeting and more laser point and direct, and the single beam laser. Now, what I find quite strange is that this feels like an alternative universe or a futuristic technology that is adapted in the 1960s of this alternative universe. Seeing that, for example, Soldier would be using that to zap the enemies. Maybe it's a blue or red, depending on what one you're using against the enemy. Now, the guy might disappear or destroyed, or basically, obliterated. Like, I'm gonna actually now go to an example that I've seen before on kind of like the Avengers, or maybe in the scientific world. We can see that he will point and direct the gun at the enemy itself, and yet we see that it's actually him. I mean, the weapon itself actually destroys the person, destroys them into little molecules, which you can see in Star Trek and everything. Now I'm going to go back to all the characters again, and maybe we can talk about Spy, and that will be my sixth theory that it's an alternative universe. Now back to number 5. I was saying on number 5 that is another theory. It's an alternative universe being using laser weaponry. But another thing is in the 1960s they did not use smartwatches. Probably that is a theory used in modern sci-fi in the 60s, where they go, yeah, smartwatches are going to be used. Yes, number 6.6. We're going to show you that right now with Spy. Now my Spy is customized. You see that he's using Invisible Watch. Now that's one of the digital watches used in the 1960s. Well, not in the 1960s, sorry, in the 1980s and the 1990s. But I can see here that we can use this as a smartwatch. Now there is other ones where there are examples of a smartwatch, but this is feels more like a smartwatch, kind of a digital watch. Now, Spy's smartwatch. Smartwatches were used in the 2000s in a modern era. And what I'm going to say is that in my theory it has been used for communications, telling time, and entertainment purposes, so on and so forth. As you can see here, Spy uses Invisible Watch. Now, the funniest thing is I find it quite funny that he is using kind of like a cartoonish, kind of refilling ammo, refilling his invisibility, being able to be a spy. Looking at it, I think this is an alternative universe as well, using spy technology, which could be used in the which is used in science fiction, kind of, and a fictional kind of James Bond spy movies. But this is an alternative 1960s, and anything is possible. Modern technology is now in the 60s, so the point is their leap in technology is way further than the technology we have today. As we can go to space, these guys are already thinking about going to space, but we're using high intense technology, but a downgrade of our modern day technology. And number 6 is Spy's watches are smartwatches, but used as a PDA for some reason on this as well. Alternative history, number 6 opinion, yeah. Now, using tape recorders and zappers are actually used. Now, I don't know why they're classed under PDAs, but zappers and everything, yeah, our technology, our days. But it's not zapping technology, they can use that in the modern days. But I can go back to this is our 7th opinion with Spy's disguise kit as well. So I'm going to go and check that out. So you can see that he is using a zapper, and Spy's disguise is as he will use a different kind of disguise every time and everything like that. So if we go back, he would use Invisible Watch, he would use a zapper, but when you're playing in game mode, I'm in inventory mode and talking about the characters in detail rather than going into the game itself, he uses disguises, different types of disguises to kind of change to different people, and he uses a PDA. This is not and this is an alternative history because he's got that maybe through spy movies, which is more heavily, I feel like it's heavily based on, because he's using spy technology, kind of like changing into a different person. I've seen this on a movie called Mission Impossible, which you might all be familiar with. So yeah, so that is number 7. And we're now going to be nearly finishing off. Now I'm going to go to Demo Man himself, and the old Demo Man looks like a pirate. But, using pirate technology, I've used the pirate cannon gun, but I actually want to talk about this old thing, the grenade launcher. Now he uses kind of an LED kind of explosives as well as IED for his old sticky bomb machines. Now sticky bombs and also the grenade launcher are kind of more like IED and LED kind of. technology. As you could see, he's using LEDs. LED mean and IED. May I get you this opinion different. LED is more light emitting diodes. Now what I see saying is LED because he's using light emitting diode grenades when he's shooting. So it'll be blue or red. So beep 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 doof. Now that's what I've seen after the 1960s, in my opinion. But then when you see sticky bombs as well, he's using kind of like a plastic explosive, which be more used after 1960s, I think. This is my theory. And also using LEDs, so it makes a light and beep beep beep. I'm using audio technology. Demo Man also uses IDEs. Now IDEs were used throughout the war, throughout everything. I played Battlefield 1. Now Battlefield 1 has an improvised grenade. Now improvised grenades are actually kind of IED, improvised demolition explosives. So yeah, so that's an alternative kind of history using digital kind of technology. I'm thinking he's using digital technology within his explosive technology. This is my theory, and that it is an alternative universe, and number 8 on the alternative universe section of my video. Now I'm gonna go to talk about mediguns. Now this is my ninth opinion, my ninth opinion or ninth point on alternative history. Sorry if I'm kind of stuttery and everything like this. My first video, so I'm gonna upload this one. So if you have any opinions, please comment below on this video. So now mediguns. Now mediguns, you're thinking this might be a medigun. No. This is the syringe guns, his primary weapon. I'm thinking of this. So his medigun. Now his medigun and his quick fix gun, which are both mediguns, his secondary weaponry. And I'm thinking this is more of a scientific, fictional scientific theory, and also an alternative universe, as no technology is made nowadays. You're making more kind of his backpack, kind of like feels like a Frankenstein kind of thing, a crazy scientist kind of theory. But actually, this to me is more passive healing through technology. And yeah, it's alternative history, alternative 1960s, and may I say, an alternative universe. Due to using passive technology and using a gun, just going, sorry for my, but it's using that kind of technology. So yeah, alternative history, number 0.9. So that's done. Now I'm gonna go to my final bits and show to number 10. And number 10, I think it's more miscellaneous kind of tech used in the game itself, more right in 1950s, 1960s, but rarely used in the modern days. So what I'm thinking is the spirit of giving. Now, spirit of giving is more of a application, or a kind of a heart monitor, which is now used nowadays mostly for anyone who has heart conditions, and you can be used throughout hospitals, throughout medical usage. But this one feels like a portable version, which is now used modern day. People can monitor themselves on their phones, but this one feels like it's monitored, but you have an X-ray checking your heart, checking your pulse, checking everything, and also giving that kind of feel to it. Alternatively, that will be an alternative universe kind of thing for the 1960s in their era. Wherever era they were, 1950s, 1960s, but it feels like it's modernizing every time. So yeah, so that is for me alternative history 1960s. Now also that reminds me of pyrovision goggles and also the night vision goggles. Now pyrovision, you get pyrovision goggles and you got night vision goggles. To me these are night vision and pyrovision, which will be more, as it says, witnessing Inferno in 2012. So yeah, so alternative history, that it's after the 1960s, and all this technology, the visor, everything, of the 1960s. Alternative 1960s. That's point 10. And to finish off now, I'm going to say overall, these are my theories of the video game. Theories of being in an opposite universe or an alternative universe, and these are my opinions. Please do not get discouraged. I love the game so much. And may I say, all the technology, everything I have here this is my first video based on video gaming. If you have any comments that you want to give me, yeah, please comment. Subscribe if you like more of this stuff. My opinions do conflict with people. It happens to me most of the time, but please add your opinion. My name is Suki Cookie, and you have been watching my video.